So, how many here have walked across fire? I have walked 8 times. Why am I starting my talk with that? Because it's an attention grabber and may or may not have anything to do with my talk. So when I thought about Ocean of Inspiration, I thought about how we are that. We actually are an ocean of inspiration, each of us. And Cindy, the Rumi quote, threw me into a whole other realm of thinking about this. That was perfect for me, that we are not a drop in the ocean. We are the entire ocean in a drop. And I have just been sitting with that all week. What does that mean? And how do we do that? What does that mean? And how do we become this entire ocean? Because, most of us don't feel that way. We feel like we're a part of the ocean. We actually feel like a drop. We feel like there must be something larger than ourselves. We couldn't make the universe. We couldn't move a mountain. And yet, our teaching says that we can. Our teaching actually says that we are the entire ocean in a drop. So there's this story that I heard years and years ago by Shel Silverstein. It's a kid's story. It's about a caterpillar. And this caterpillar wants to be more. And so it's going around looking for how to be more until it finds this tower of caterpillars and wants to know what's at the top. And sees so many caterpillars involved in it, it starts climbing up to get to the top. And a lot of us in Science of Mind come in that way. We come in as caterpillars. And when we start using these teachings, our lives get a little better. And for this caterpillar, his life's getting better as he's moving up and up and up this tower. And he's moving up and up and up the tower, just the way our lives get a little better and a little better and a little better. And about halfway up, he notices that there are some caterpillars actually falling down. And the ones falling down, one stops near him and goes, "There's nothing up at the top but butterflies." But he doesn't believe it, so he keeps going. And he finally gets all the way to the top, and sure enough, at the top, there's all these butterflies flying around that he can't touch. He's just got to keep jockeying for position. He is now at the top of his game. He's done the best he can do as a caterpillar, better than any of the other caterpillars below him. And he still can't be a butterfly. And at some point he realizes he's got to climb all the way back down. And he's got to go off and be by himself. Go in deep into himself. And starts building this cocoon. And he builds this cocoon, and it gets darker and darker as he goes deeper and deeper inside himself until he's inside this cocoon. And at some point struggles to break free and comes out this incredible butterfly. And it's an entirely different way of being. And here's something about butterflies that I just learned recently. That if we go up to a cocoon when a butterfly is struggling to get out and actually slit it a little bit to make it easier for them, the blood doesn't get pushed out into their wings and they can never fly. That it's actually the pushing that allows the blood to fully get into their wings. The struggle itself that then allows them to fly. And so there's something about our movement which was created by a slogan that says, "Change your thinking, change your life," which makes it sound as if all you got to do is think positive thoughts and like everything goes well. But for us that know, you really got to go way deeper within. That it's what we embody that manifests and how we live it. And are we living in any moment? Are we being the butterfly or are we being the caterpillar? Because a lot of times What we're being is the caterpillar thinking we're being a butterfly, but we're working really hard. And butterflies don't work that hard. And as ministers, it's us to stand in this movement as the butterflies. Because otherwise, we're just being, good caterpillars, right? We may have our lives really well together and still be a caterpillar. Still not standing for the miracles, the true miracles that are ours to have. So, Ashley and I met online. And we finally, after a few weeks, decided it was time to meet in person, and so we set up me flying out to LA. And so I did a lot of preparation for this trip, packed, got my, set up everything. The only clock in my apartment is my phone. And so I set the alarm on my phone and then realized I needed to charge it. So I went and I charged it up. And while I'm charging it up, I'm going and putting away other things so I can get up because I have to be out of the house for a car service at 4 a.m. And so the phone charges up, and then I think to myself, I want to make sure I have a full charge for the trip. The best way to do that is to turn off the phone. And so I turn off the phone, and I go to bed. I wake up, and it's still dark out, and I think, the alarm didn't go off yet. I can sleep more. And so I'm about to go back to sleep when it dawns on me, I turned off the phone. And so my heart jumps up into my throat, and the first thing that occurs to me is, wait a minute, I'm the guy who's teaching this stuff about how we need to stand in our truth irregardless of circumstance. I better do it right here and now. So I go into prayer. As I hit the button to turn on the phone to find out what time it is, I'm like, time is on my side. My life works. I need to calm down. Relax. My life works. Phone comes up, it's 4:22. I have missed the car service. And there were 3 messages, all from the car service, saying, heck are you? And so, once again, my life works. Time is on my side. If I'm going to be out there teaching this stuff, I need to live it right here and now. In this moment, while this is happening, while I'm about to meet this woman for the first time, if I make it to the airport. But what I know is that whatever happens, it's got to be perfect because it's all God, and I am this creator. I am this person who can create this. And so I just need to calm down here and just know that it works. I jump in the shower. I get out to my car, realizing I have no idea where the airport is. None, except that it's south of Cincinnati. And there are 4 highways that go out of Cincinnati in different directions south. So once again, I go into prayer, and I sit there, and my GPS will not bring up the airport. So I go into prayer. I just sit there and go, you know what? This has still got to work out. This has got to work out. And I decide which, and one of the 4 highways pops into my head. And I decide I'm going for that. And then the first thing I notice is I hit only green lights. I was fascinated by that. In a town where the lights are changing all the time really quickly, nothing but green lights to the highway. So I get on the highway I've chosen, heading south, and now I go, okay, I need a sign. However it pops up as to where the airport is. And then lo and behold, there was this big green sign that said, to airport. So I'm like, great. Follow that thing to the airport, go to the economy parking. There's a shuttle just sitting there waiting for me. And he didn't even wait for anybody else. Parked the car, got in the shuttle, took me right to my terminal. Get to my terminal. There is the longest line for check-in I have ever seen. And at this point, I'm remembering Moses and the 10 Commandments and thinking, I'm not going to be a big baby about this. I'm going to know this works out anyway. And so I just got online. I just know this is going to work out. And by golly, that was the fastest moving line I have ever experienced at an airport in my life. It was tremendously long, and I was still up to the front in 10 minutes. So now I go to security. And security has this tremendously long line. But when you enter it, they want to see your ticket right away, and they go, oh, you don't have to be on this line. You go to that line over there for pre-screening. There's nobody on that line. And I go through, they don't make me take off my shoes, they don't make me pull out my computer, and they let me right through. And then I go to my gate, and as I'm arriving at the gate, they go, we are now about to board. Miracles. Totally unplanned. Nothing worked out the way I thought it would, and yet it worked out exactly the way it does because I held it that way. You know, I could feel that I held it that way. That in that moment, I was actually able to stay the butterfly where it would have been really easy to jump into the caterpillar and not hold the truth for myself. Ernest Holmes, you know, one of my favorite quotes of his, to abandon the truth in your hour of need is to not understand the truth. If I'm going to go around week after week telling people to abandon the truth in your hour of need is to not understand the truth, I better remember that myself in my hour of need. And that's what I did. And the rest is history between us. So we have the opportunity in any moment to grow our sense of being what the entire ocean is, right? Every moment, every single moment, no matter what the circumstance, we can get into being the caterpillar and the drop in the ocean, or we can get into that place of being the butterfly and knowing that we are the entire ocean, irregardless of what's going on. And when it comes to, and one of the ways in which I see that I and others can get stuck in being the caterpillar instead of the butterfly is when I fall into thinking structure is foundation. Where they get confused for me, and maybe they do for you too. That somehow strategizing and planning and putting things into a structure has anything to do with our teaching. Ernest Holmes says what we embody manifests. He doesn't say what we embody and then take action on and strategize about manifests. He simply says what we embody manifests. And that's really hard to remember when we're trying to get something done. But how we go about getting it done makes all the difference of whether we're being the butterfly or we're being the caterpillar. And it is our job, in my humble opinion, as spiritual leaders, to stand in the butterfly. To stand in that place of spiritual knowing and letting things show up. When I was in my 20s, I took a class called Creating Through the Sheer Power of Your Consciousness. And the only way to graduate this class was to pick something you were going to manifest and take absolutely no action for it except visualize it every day. And the idea was to pick something that was not emotionally charged, so that part of our belief system wasn't involved. And so I picked a $100 bill. That somebody would simply hand me a $100 bill. And for 5 weeks, I'm visualizing every day, and you're not allowed to tell anybody. You're not allowed to actually put out your word. You're simply visualizing. 5 weeks. One day I get a knock at the door, open the door, and somebody goes, "This is for you," and hands me a $100 bill. Didn't even know the person. I have no idea why he came and did that. He didn't even stay to explain it. He just handed me a $100 bill and went off. Out of nowhere. Came to my door. And so I'm very clear that it is our consciousness that creates, not our actions. Building a house. My ex-wife and I wanted to build a house on top of a mountain. One day she calls and says, "I want you to go look at a piece of property." She gives me directions to the property. So I go to the property, and I fall in love with it. It's this amazing piece of property. I'm like, oh my God, this is perfect. So I tell her where I am. She comes up. She goes, "This isn't the piece of property I sent you to." "Yeah, but it's perfect." And so we wound up getting that piece of property. So then we go around all the banks to try to get a loan for the piece of property. Every bank turns us down. So I call back the people who we went into contract with in the property, and I go, "You know what? 60 days are up. I know you get to keep our $1,000. Thank you very much. I guess this isn't going to work out." They call back 3 days later and go, "Actually, we've decided that piece of property is definitely yours. We're going to give you another 60 days to figure it out." The very next day, a bank goes, "Did somebody call you and tell you your loan went through?" And we got the piece of property. Then we started working on getting a contractor to build. And the contractor we found was going on and on about all the compromises we had to make to the design we wanted in the house. And slowly but surely, our spirit is kind of like, shrinking around all this. And sure enough, none of the loans came through. And so we actually dropped it. We dropped the whole idea of building. We just held on the piece of property, figured, what's going to happen is going to happen, but held the vision of what we wanted. A year later, I'm sitting in a men's circle, and this man sitting next to me, who I had totally fallen in love with, out of the blue says Wednesday, "I just got my general contractor's license and was looking forward to building my first house." So we hired him. And he wanted no compromises at all. He built our house in 3 months, under budget. The most stunning, beautiful house on top of a mountain you've ever seen. None of it went by plan. None of it went by strategy. All of it went by holding the vision. That's where the miracles are. What Teresa read the other day in terms of what I had written in the thing, it's really so true for me. And I know that because it's true for me, it's true for you, and it's true for anyone who shows up in our movement. What's possible is not just a good life, not just a great life, but a miraculous life. When we were talking about fooling around with the 10 Commandments the other day, Moses absolutely had no doubt. Jesus absolutely had no doubt. These were butterflies. These were butterflies that all the caterpillars followed. And then some of those caterpillars went on to become butterflies. That's what we have the opportunity to be. I urge you to, any time you are in a place of caterpillar, to stand for your butterfly. To know that absolutely this situation can turn around, irregardless of what action you take, irregardless of what choices you think are available to you. We are the entire ocean in a drop, not a little bit of it. We actually get to create universes, mountains, anything we want, if we're willing to make that kind of stand. And if we do, our congregation, those in the congregation that are caterpillars, when they get to the top and they learn the teachings enough where they're actually at the top and see that there's nothing up there but us. And then when we share our stories of how we became the butterfly, that will give them the courage to march down so that they can then go into their communities, so that they can join us being the butterfly. And in this way, our movement will truly grow. Because a butterfly is definitely the way to be in this world. Thank you.